Hey folks, coming here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? We're all doing very, very well. Now, I said I was going to do it, and I am. I'm going to do it. We're going to discuss Thor The Dark World. The one that everyone seems to love to hate. You know? Thor, Chris Hemsworth, from Marvel, was lucky enough to get, his own solo outing. Then he joined the Avengers. And then after 2 Avengers movies, he then got a second outing for himself, Thor The Dark World, which even though it met with critical disdain at the time, it was massively, I can't even say the word, massively successful. And he then went on to Infinity War and Endgame and all that, obviously. And he did get another outing, Thor Ragnarok, for Taika Waititi, who is doing Thor's 4th solo outing, Thor Love and Thunder. Thor's unstoppable. It's my favourite Marvel character. And I realised that after skitting Thor The Dark World, that the more I thought about it, the more I thought about it, I realised, do you know what? I really like it. So, in the week just gone, in the aftermath of the big Thor Love and Thunder trailer coming out, which I've covered before, and I thought, I'll watch Dark World again. We're playing its soundtrack now by Brian Tyler, which I've banged on about so many times. This is the best Thor theme you're ever going to get. It's a wonderful score, this. And I watched it again this week. I watched it not once, but twice. And I loved it. Yeah, I can guarantee it's got some issues, of course. We know that. Director Alan Taylor had come off the back of Sopranos and Mad Men and Game of Thrones. I think it was Game of Thrones that got him the gig to do this. And we know that he was not happy with the finished movie because they went in behind his back and they chopped and edited the hell out of it, put in other scenes, changed his film around so he doesn't even recognise the film that he made. Loads of things. In his version, Loki's dead. Loki dies, does not come back. But Loki all of a sudden was alive again, with extra scenes put in because Tom Hiddleston is so fantastic as Loki that they couldn't resist creating new scenes for him. Anyway, so Thor Dark World from 2013. There's all mumbo jumbo about the Dark Elves from the time, before light entered the cosmos and universe. It was all dark matter, and dark matter matters to the Dark Elves. They don't like the light, they don't like civilization, and they do not like Asgard, that's for certain. So in the sort of nicely done prologue, flashback to Bor, which is Odin's dad. So, and he's played by Tony Curran, the great Scottish actor Tony Curran, who's almost unrecognisable in a blink and you'll miss him sequence with the big Asgardian helmet on. The Dark Elves are storming to try to get this thing called the Ether. And the Ether is it looks like some kind of symbiotic sort of fluid-like entity, which is huge. And apparently it is a supreme weapon. Not entirely sure what it does. I've watched the film numerous times now, and there's a lot of it I still don't understand, I'll be perfectly honest. But they want the Ether. With that, they can dispel the Asgardians, and they can take back the universe and turn everything dark again. That's the idea. And it's, what's his name? Christopher Eccleston plays, what's his bloody name? Mithril? No, that's Lord of the Rings stuff. Malekith, the Dark Elf Lord, and his sworn hatred of Odin and everything Asgardian. This big battle is started, they get defeated, they don't get to the Ether, the Asgardians destroy them, and Malekith actually destroys most of his army by dropping his huge spaceships, crashing them to try to kill the Asgardian army. But he and a trusty band escape into suspended animation. And Bor demands that the Ether is buried somewhere beyond belief, beyond reach, beyond. And they do so. Anyway, we then flash forward several thousand years, give or take. And we are resuming Thor after the events of Avengers. The first Avengers movie. Loki's caused loads of hassle, and Loki is now facing what he would have preferred execution, but Anthony Hopkins is Odin. No. you're going to the dungeons for the rest of your days, and you'll never see your mother, Frigga, again. Frigga, you know? And to Loki, that's because Loki is devoted to his mother, his adopted mother. And he hates his half-brother Thor, we know all this, and he has a real seething hatred for Odin, and yet he craves the respect of Odin. That's been the crux of the brotherly sibling rivalry between Loki and Thor right from the start. And I think that's a great concept. It works supremely well. If you've got brothers, I have 2 of them, but I'm the best. Mum told me I'm the best. So I like that family angle, and that was where Kenneth Branagh in the original Thor, which was 2010 or a bit earlier, not too sure now. He took on, he gave it that Shakespearean slant, but he also said, look, there's at the basis of this, the foundation of these superhero movies, there's a very human drama, and what's more, what kind of drama can everyone connect with more than just family issues? And so you have all your big, huge, supernatural, magical worlds and realms taking place around a core structure which everyone can relate to. Perfect. And they have kept that going, which has been a wonderful thing to see that evolve. And Alan Taylor, the script, again, went through several permeations and what they were going to come up with. But the big bad guy, Malekith, we're at the time now, this is after the events of Avengers, the first one. Loki's now in the dungeons. Thor is moping about because the Bifrost has been destroyed, so he can't get to Earth. This is one of the things I'll get confused about now. The Bifrost has been destroyed, so he can't get to Earth, but chaos has been wrought because of Loki's actions around the 9 realms. So he spent all this time battling on different planets, different realms, trying to sort out these marauders and rebels and try to put right all the damage that Loki's done. So he hasn't seen the love of his cosmic, almost eternal life, Jane Foster, Natalie Portman. And she's back on Earth, wondering where the hell he is. And so after the big battle on, I think, Vanaheim, is it? I'm not too sure. There's lots of Heims in these realms. And they put that right, take some prisoners back, and there should be a big celebration while the 9 realms are back in order. But in a great scene, Chris Hemsworth, he's like, they're all revelry, all this, is Warriors 3, Volstagg, Ray Stevenson, is quaffing mead, well, bring me another, and all this. And go on, Thor, give us a toast. But Thor's not in the mood. His mind and his heart are elsewhere. He wants Jane Foster. And I like these scenes. Chris Hemsworth, I've banged on about so much. He's there, he's right behind me. I think he's a wonderful actor. He's perfect for Thor. He's tough, he's brawny, he's heroic, he's an idiot. His comedic timing is par excellence. But again, he can act as well. So there is emotion. So in these early moments, you can see that wistful look in his eye and that sort of mournful sorrow that he can't see Jane again. Even his dad saying, look, why not take what's right in front of you? And he's pointing at Lady Sif, Jamie Alexander, who is a warrior and exceptionally fit, and why not just take her? Be happy with what you've got. And this is not me talking as the All-Father. This is me talking as your father. But you'll notice that Anthony Hopkins, who I think relishes this role, he's a right cantankerous, really acerbic bastard of a dad. He's a heartless git. He really is. In all of the versions of all the films he's been in as Odin, he's a twat to them. He really is. He banished Thor to Earth, to Midgard, for a bit of an indiscretion, which actually saved the day, for Asgard in the first movie. But he banished him. You're not worthy of Mjolnir and all this. Like, you've got to learn the value, of belief and respect and loyalty. You've got to learn all that. Learn your true worth, my boy. And so all that's happened. But and Thor has proved himself a gazillion times over. So he's moping around, he wants his Jane. He goes and sees Heimdall, Idris Elba, the Watcher. And can you see her? I see everything, of course. And the Bifrost is damaged, and suddenly, how's she doing anyway? Suddenly, he can't see Jane Foster. Why? Because we're also at the time of the convergence. Oh yes, there's one of those cosmic anomalies where the planets, in this case the 9 realms, are going to align. It's a once in a 10 billion year sort of cycle. Again, give or take, I don't know. I'm not Asgardian, I don't know these things. And when that happens, portals open up, and the barriers between the realms become weaker and blurred, so things can pass through. And that's what we're going to witness. Because in London, yes, London, Jane Foster and Darcy and Stellan Skarsgård as Professor, I forgot his name, Soxvig, Sandsvig, I don't know. Danzig, I don't know what his name is, are doing their astrophysics experimentation in London. And Jane Foster gets a call from Darcy to this sort of Docklands warehouse area in London. And they notice that big trucks are floating in midair and can be turned around by the weakest of little scally yobs. Just turn them around. And then this little gang take them into the upper floors of this warehouse, and they're dropping bottles and cans. And watch, and they go, whoop, they're disappearing. And then wait, it comes back through again. Like, how's this happening? Portals, you see, portals. And Jane Foster wanders off, foolishly on her own, and gets sucked through a portal and ends up right where Bor and the former Asgardians from aeons ago secreted that ether, that substance, the ether. And her presence there reawakens the ether. She puts her hand in. It's got one of these great big sort of presses, like a massive stone column, and there's a gap in it. And you can see the ether sort of scuttling about. It's a lovely, intoxicating thing. I'm not sure it would lure me to put my hand into this massive concrete block, but she does. And then it comes crashing down, but she gets her hand back just in time. But no, the ether has escaped. It's got into her. So it's now within her system. Oh God. Now the fact that it's escaped from this column has awakened, you're hearing their music now, the Dark Elves. That little bunch with Malekith, Christopher Eccleston, who survived, suddenly their eyes open. Spend animation, hypersleep. There's no more. The ether has awakened us. Now is our time. Let's get to the ether and then we can destroy Asgard. For good. So there you get the crux of it. But where's the ether? It's inside Natalie Portman, Jane Foster. So now this is the bit I don't really get. Heimdall says, I can't see her. She disappeared. And he can see everything. He's the all-seeing protector of Asgard. And I can't see anymore. So next thing you know, Jane Foster wakes up back in the warehouse after a weird sort of surreal floaty dream where she's in the cosmos and all this stuff's floating around and coming out of her mouth and all sorts, and her eyes glow absolutely sort of burgundy, and because that's the colour of this ether. And she wakes up back in this warehouse and then discovers that they're all under arrest because the cops are outside, the British bobbies. But then this sort of strange rainfall comes down. Are you doing that? Are you? No. Is this weird? Does this seem right to you? They look over the way and there's Thor in all his Asgardian armour and splendour. How the hell has he got there? Because the Bifrost was broken. I must be missing something really crucial to this initial setup, because I don't know how he gets there when they said, what she says to him, it's really you. You know, that's to make sure you're really there. And again, he's like, what the hell, you know? That's for leaving me. You know, the last I saw of, you were fighting in the Battle of New York. Remember all that shenanigans that Loki caused? And then you never came back. Well, Jane, you see, Loki broke all the barriers of time and space and caused rebellions across the 9 realms. I've been battling rebels and marauders ever since. And there was just, well, as excuses go, that's not a bad one, she says to him. And then just when they're about to kiss and reacquaint themselves lip-wise, the bobbies come up. Step away, put that hammer down, And Thor says, hang on a minute, look, you know who I am. I don't care who you are. You're under arrest. And this bobby goes to put the hands on Jane Foster, but the ether reacts. It defends itself. Boom! Massive sort of temporal explosion. Bodies are sent smashing through cars and windows, and they're like, she's a weapon, we gotta stop her. Call the firing squad, the armed response unit. I knew there was a term for it. And it's like, she's mine, I'll protect her. And Heimdall, when you're ready. And the Bifrost opens up and he whisks her off to Asgard. So how come that couldn't have happened before? The Bifrost was meant to be broken. How did it get repaired? I am definitely missing something there, and I do apologise for that little plot hole, which I've either exposed or just completely made up, because you're all going, it's because of da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da and da-da-da, and this strap's all folded back the wrong way. Weird. Must be some sort of temporal vest portal. It's manipulating it. It's the ether no, it's not the ether. It'll be the whiskey, which is the greatest destructive power in the universe, I've found. And also the elixir of youth. So they realise that this thing is within Jane. Jane meets Frigga. Jane meets Sif. Slight bit of jealousy seems to be there. Jane meets Odin. Odin's not happy. Odin's never liked Midgard. He doesn't like mortals. He doesn't like Earth at all. He's got no respect for Earth whatsoever. And he's really nasty to Jane. Anyway, of course, what happens is, now the fact that when they realise they have this great sort of floaty cosmic operating table, and they realise, what the hell is this stuff like? And when they try to arrest Jane, the Asgardian guards, are blasted away. It's the ether defending. That's what they realise. It's the ether defending itself. It's not her doing it. It's defending itself through her. Well, we've got to get to the bottom of this. So then you get told the story of the Dark Elves. Odin recounts it for Thor's benefit, and for those of us that weren't paying attention during that flashback sequence, and about the ether. If Malekith awakens and gets the ether, it'll be the end for us all. It'll be lights out, literally. And of course, that's what's about to happen, because it has awakened. What's his bleeding name? Malekith. And Malekith has got. His warriors have the ability via these mystic stones to become the cursed. That's cursed with a K. And that means they become like absolute monstrous berserkers. And it's wonderful. It is wonderful. And his second in command, Algrim, played by, I can't pronounce his name. I can see it in front of my very eyes right now. And it's a massive Adabawan, Abawaki, Abawubiwabwup. It's a massive long name. And he's good. And he plays this Algrim, second in command. Algrim, will you sacrifice yourself? Of course, for our people, for our race, to turn the universe dark. I'll do anything. So Malekith slices him in the guts and shoves this stone in. And what happens? Remember that battle at the start? Not the one in the aeons ago, but for Vanaheim. They took prisoners back to the dungeons of Asgard. Well, somehow or other, Algrim, with this big sort of horned, monstrous Viking style. Vikings never wore horny helmets, but it fits in with the whole mythology thing. He secretes himself amongst a gang of prisoners, and he gets into the dungeons there. And of course, Loki's in the dungeon, isn't he? And it's these sort of electro barrier sort of prison cells. And Loki's there. Odin, you brought me some more friends, as this new bunch get brought in, including Algrim. And the idea is Algrim has to break out and then cause bedlam and break down the shields, Asgard's defensive shields, so that, yeah, you guessed it, Malekith and his new war fleet can steam on in, destroy Asgard and take back the ether, because that's where it is. So, and they know it's there, they just don't know it's in Jane Foster. So Algrim gets in there and, he breaks into his stomach and gets this stone out and crushes it, and then lava and flames spew out the holes in his helmet. That's just what happens. And he goes berserk, and he breaks a guy's face through the this electromagnetic field. Asgardians rush up, they manage to pick them up, drain the life force out of them, crush their necks, causes a big rebellion. breaks all the other prisoners out. So warfare across, the lower echelons of Asgard, the dungeons. But he doesn't let Loki free. But he does eyeball Loki, and Loki's like just kind of looking at him. And then, but instead of like breaking down the barrier, Algrim, the cursed Algrim, just walks off, and Loki says, "If I were you, I'd take the stairway to the left." And Algrim just looks back. And off he goes. He's killing everyone he can, and he's going to get to the protective sort of orb thing, oscillating gyroscope thing, full of lights and beams and all sorts, which brings up the defensive barrier, the shield around the main citadel of Asgard. And he puts his big fist through that, blows that up, drops this shield down. Malekith's fighting craft things are spinning all the way through Asgard. And there's little, like, it's almost like the Star Wars Death Star trench. There's cannons trying to take these things out, but they're destroying everything in their path. And it is great. It's a great big battle. Like, in the meantime, Algrim, the cursed Algrim, is getting to the main part of the palace, and he's looking for, obviously Frigga and Odin, and anyone royal can get in his way that he can destroy, and maybe find the root source of the ether at the same time. Now, in the meantime, what you've had, Odin, like, nope, she's going to be arrested, you're Jane Foster, but Frigga takes us to one side. Just do what I say, child, because she knows something really bad's happening here. Thor, in the meantime, is down in dungeons battling all these guys, and but Malekith and a warship crashed through part of the citadel, taking down a gazillion stone columns, and a big battle with the Asgardians takes place as all these strange masked dark elves come out. Big chaos, but Malekith strides through all this, and he will find Frigga in her chamber, and Jane Foster will be there as well. And she's great. It's oh Christ, what's her name from Before before? I forgot her name. Can't help it. Not Ronda Rousey, but it's RR, isn't it? It's something anyway. I forgot her name. And she's great. Step back, creature, and you may still survive this, she says to Malekith. And he's like, "I've come to take what is mine. Where is it? Come on now, woman." And Malekith's a bitch. Chris Eccleston. I like Chris Eccleston. He did not like playing this role. He went on record to say he despised it, in fact. And he's a bit of a dickhead because he said, no one told me I was going to spend 3 to 4 hours in makeup every day. You're playing a dark elf. You were Doctor Who for one season. You saw people in makeup in every episode, and you saw what went into all that. Why didn't you think you'd be going through a similar process to play a character, a villainous dark elf, in a big, massive Marvel MCU movie? And you just thought, just slap some slap on, maybe put some contact lenses in, and that'd be it, put a costume on. No. So he badmouthed the movie quite a lot, Anyway. And he is, to be fair, it's a very one-note villain, and he's a right bitch, because Frigga manages to slash him across the face, send him flying across these steps, and she's kicking his arse, good style. And you're like, hang on, this is the villain, but then again it shows that Frigga is an Asgardian shield maiden at heart, so she can kick arse, and she does. And she's about to fucking win as well, when big lumbering footsteps behind her, and it's Algrim who picks her up, and he's like, oh. And Malekith then sees Natalie Portman in the corner, so off he goes to do this, within you is something that is mine, give it to me, child. But his hand just goes through it. Witch, he says to Frigga, because it's obviously an illusion that she's cast. That's why she has a big bond with Loki. They both of them have degrees of magic. Well, obviously Loki has a lot more magic, and the power of illusion is second to none with him. So he storms over to her again, and she's getting gripped like that. Oh, you never know it all. His face has been slashed. I'll never tell you where it is. And he goes oh, I believe you. And he runs her through, kills Frigga, Thor's mum, Odin's wife. Jesus Christ, that's it, Thor comes running in this time, and with Mjolnir sends Mjolnir right there, making a cameo appearance right there behind me. Makes a big lightning bolt which burns. So Malekith's been slashed on one side of his face, and he's been burned on the other, and he's like, oh, and like, but Algrim picks him up, and the two of them leap off the balcony. But at the same time, Thor, in a great shot, he hurls Mjolnir, which clangs off the armour of Algrim. And as it's coming back, Thor does a great spin round, catch it, and throw it again. They've landed on one of their ships below. They have a great cloaking device as well, which I forgot to mention, but they've got a great cloaking device. And off they zoom into the the mothership that they've got. Thor hails the hammer again, but the portal whoop goes, and off they've gone. Wow. Then you get the big funeral sequence for Frigga. Very Viking style thing, and it's wonderful. It's very touching. Great bit of music plays as well. It's all this sort of wailing stuff here. Let's play it. It will commence. So Jane Foster's encountered all this, and she must be thinking, shit, I've caused all this. If I didn't just go poking around on my own, none of this would have happened. But then, I've still met Thor. Odin now wants, what's-her-face, Jane Foster, under lock and key. She's a prisoner now. She's an enemy of Asgard. She brought this shit upon us, like, and so Thor's like, but he wants what's in her. If we get her off-world, we always use that term, off-world, don't we? If we get her off-world, then I can lure him out. He can follow me and Jane, and then at the moments when he tries to take it, then he's at his weakest, most vulnerable, I'll destroy him and the ether. No, boy, no! We will bring him here, and we'll fight him with the last Asgardian breath, the last Asgardian blood. We'll destroy him. That's how we will fight, as we've always fought. You watch how Anthony Hopkins enunciates his words. He doesn't just say Asgard, he goes, Asgard! Boy! The last letter is massively emphatic after a slight pause. Brilliant, it's brilliant. But his Welsh brogue does not creep through into his portrayal of Odin, I find. Anyway, which is probably on purpose as well, because it's all Celtic stuff. Norse, Celts, there you go. And now she was our prisoner! And Asgard! It's fantastic. So, Thor's now got to think, hang on a minute, we're going to have to break her off the planet. How are we going to do this? Right, so he enlists his Warriors 3 and Lady Sif, and they break her out. But the thing is, they can't use the Bifrost now. That reactivated Bifrost, remember that, which was bust to begin with? It's fine now. But they can't use that because they'll be traced, and Heimdall, it's all treason. So he says to them all, like, over mead and all that sort of stuff, there's one way of doing this. Are you with me? Yeah, but it's going to be treason for you all. And it's banishment if we fail. It's execution if we succeed and they catch us. So, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But they all agree with him because Thor's our man. And we'll save his babe and Asgard. So, but to do it, there's other ways off Asgard. There's other little pockets of Bifrostiness. But no one knows where they are. One man does. No, Thor. No. Yeah. They've got to get Loki out of his cell. And Loki's got to join with them. Or join with Thor. Which, brother, after all this time, you pick now to come to see me? And yeah, Thor's got a proposition for him. I'll grant you vengeance. I know you loved our mother. You'll get your vengeance if you help me and Jane off the planet. And to, I think it's Steinerheim, whatever the Dark Elves' home realm is, it's Heim. So, okay, right, alright, I'll do it then. And this is one of the extra sequences that they put in behind Alan Taylor's back. You've got like the plans put in motion. Asgardians are being taken out by Lady Sif, freeing Jane Foster. Volstagg is gonna like stay and wait and like guard the crashed Dark Elf ship, which went through all the pillars in the big citadel. But that's still there, so their plan is to get in that and fly that out. Partly, and then find this other Bifrost location. So they're all involved in it, and the other guy, the blonde there, who wasn't in the first Thor movie, Zachary Levi or something like that, plays him in this one, and he's good. He's a very Errol Flynn style sort of, saber rattling swashbuckler, and he's great. They're using all these guys. So in this little tacked on scene, which is actually really good, Loki's saying, "Oh brother, this is like the old days, you and me together, but it's not like you, it's very clandestine for you." He's like, "Loki, just shut up, we've got a job to do, be serious." "Oh, maybe you don't like Loki beside you, maybe another appearance." So he starts flicking, as they walk past pillars, it's a different, Loki takes on different personas, and at one stage he's Chris Evans, Captain America, First Avenger, and that's great, and it plays Chris Evans' main theme as well, and it's a wonderful little moment. But he even, bit of trickery, he turns Thor into Lady Sif, and like he's going like, "Even with this body I can still break you in two," And then they get in this ship, they get Jane, Jane's been freed, our warriors are now fighting off all the Asgardians who are coming after them. They get in the ship, and then another great comedy sequence, because this is the thing about Thor was comedic in Kenneth Branagh's first Thor movie. He's more comedic in this one, but again, he hadn't gone too far. It's Taika Waititi and Chris Hemsworth rediscovering Thor for Ragnarok and the pure comedic nature that Chris Hemsworth can bring so charismatically to the screen. That's when it really explodes, and you're going to see more of that in Love and Thunder, obviously. But in this, he's trying to operate this ship, this crashed Dark Elf warship, and he's like, nothing's working. He's like hitting stuff, and like Loki's saying, "Well, perhaps if you just touch the buttons without actually hitting them." And like Thor's like, he's going, "I am just hitting the button, just tapping the buttons, do, nothing's working. Look," and it's just like, "Look, I'm tapping them." Oh, it's great. And then suddenly it does activate, and they begin to fly the ship out of there. So you've got Loki, you've got Thor, and you've got Jane Foster on board this ship. And these ships are really sort of, they're not very aesthetic. They're very odd shapes. A bit, think the weird look of the derelict in Alien, and make it more angular and straighter, But it's kind of like, how could you fly that? And they're going through tight angles and stuff. And you've got another aerial battle, because the Asgardians have these super floaty flying warships, which look like little longboats, but with guns on them, So you've got all this battle taking place, and you've got the Rainbow Bridge. They're flying just beneath the Rainbow Bridge, and like this thing is also just above the Rainbow Bridge, and this thing is chasing after them. And this Fandral is the other warrior. That's it. He goes, "Right, I suppose now's the time." Yes, now's the time. No. Let me get this bit right. They're in the Dark Elf warship, and then Thor smashes a hole up the side of it, like throws Jane out. Loki's going, "What the hell?" Boots Loki out, and then he jumps out. And what they've got, it's a deception. So that just takes off on sort of autopilot, and all the Asgardians are going after it, trying to take this thing down. But beneath them, hidden below the height of the Rainbow Bridge, is one of these little flying galleon things, operated by Fandral. So they've all landed there. Loki's like, trickery as well, You're even lying to me, I'm impressed, So they're going to make their escape in that. But another ship comes up behind, and that's when Fandral does this, like, "Don't worry, I'll sort this out." And on a big rope swings down, Errol Flynn style, "Sorry boys," and punches out all the Asgardians. Because you've got to remember, these have all got to be mates again after this. They're hurting their own people here. For the greater good, admittedly. And he just goes to them, and they're all like, "Bye." Loki, "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." And he's piloting this thing, and he's got a big rock face, and he's like, "Loki." He's like, "Don't worry, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it." And he cut through this tiny little sliver of a chasm, and the edges are getting all smashed up, and then they go through a portal, the Bifrost, and with the ether they go back to the elf planet, the Dark World. This is called it the Dark World, hence why the fucking film's called it, obviously. And that's where they filmed that in Iceland, and all the sort of ashen lava plateaus and mountainsides, and it's a really eerie looking place, very bleak, very desolate, you know. And they're there, and they hatch this plan. Look, and there's a lot of sort of soul searching between Loki and Thor, and Jane, and how we're going to save the day, and like what's it all about, and you two, will you just stop the rivalry so we can work together? Yeah. And of course Malekith is there because he's again drawn to the ether, which is Jane, and it's their home planet as well. So they're there. You've got Algrim, the massive Algrim there, and a few little soldiers as well. These dark elf soldiers. And Thor and Loki and Jane appeared on the sort of a ridge line, and like, are you ready to do this? Yes, I am, brother. Loki gets a dagger out, stabs Thor, and boots his body down the cliff, rolls down. The elves, of course, are watching this. You know, interesting development. Jane's like, what? What have you done? Grabs her, throws her down. He boots Thor in the face again, and he throws Jane at the feet of Malekith. There you go, that's what you want. He's got, and Malekith's like, the fuck are you playing that here? What's going on here? Loki, you've betrayed me again. And Thor's trying to get Mjolnir. Mjolnir's, I don't know where the hell that was, but it's somewhere else, comes flying towards him, as Mjolnir tends to do. And Loki hacks off his hand, so he can't catch Mjolnir, just goes away. Oh my god, Loki! Malekith's going like, well, what's his game? And Algrim says, you know, he was in their weird elf language, he says like, hey, he was a prisoner in the dungeons of Asgard. Yeah, he's okay. And Loki said, all that I ask, if I'm going to give you her, I'm going to give you Thor, all I ask is I have a great seat as I watch Asgard burn. And like, obviously Malekith's thinking like, yeah, you're one of my kind, you know, we should be the same gang together. But it's all an illusion, because as he's about to draw the ether out of Jane and into himself, and she's like doing this floaty cruciform, and it's all coming out of her eyes, ears, and every orifice. And suddenly Thor's hand grows back again, because it's all an illusion. It was all a trick, deception. He gets Mjolnir, and once all the ether's there, he blasts the hell out of Malekith and the ether. Everything explodes, big fight, and they're all there. Loki, the timing was immaculate. Oh, as always, blah, 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 blah. We've saved the day. Jane, are you all right? The ether isn't gone. The ether, in weird little chips, manages to just float up off the ground. And again, it's heading towards Malekith, who's now heading towards his big warship thing, his mothership. And then Algrim and a few others, right, take them out while we're getting away. Shit. So they have a big mad battle there. And it's a great battle with Algrim. Algrim is I like his character as the big monstrous hulking brute. And he beats the shit out of Thor. I mean, this is a great thing as well. Whatever this cursed stone is, the power it gives him must be colossal. Because Mjolnir gets hurled at Algrim, and Algrim just goes, fuck off, and bats it aside, boosh, takes out half a fucking mountain, like, but you shouldn't be able to do that, should you? Anyway, big fight. Algrim's getting the better of Thor. He's doing like a bit of a Hulk on him, boof, 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 just smashing hell out of Thor. But Loki comes over and puts a lance, one of the Dark Elves lances, because he's had a fight with them, and in a bit of Loki, Tom Hiddleston action acrobatics, he's took all them out as well. But he impales this bastard. And he's like, But he turns around and grabs Loki and thrusts Loki onto the spear as well. And like Thor's, no! And he goes, don't worry, brother. I'll see you in hell, monster. And in a scene very similar to, remember in Casino Royale, Daniel Craig, the scene at the airport, Miami airport, where he's battling with this terrorist. And then at the end, after lots of destruction and cars going everywhere and planes about to erupt and all this kind of stuff, the detonator and the explosive is actually attached to the back of the terrorist. And he's going, what? Like that. Boom! That's what he's done. Because these elves have got these, I forgot to mention it, they have these black hole hand grenades. Just go lash it. Whether it hits one person or 10, they get and they get whapped into like non-existence through a little hand grenade black hole. It's awesome. And he's put that on the end of the spear. So Algrim's like, ooh, and he gets crunched up, poof, disappears. And then you get the big tearful farewell from Loki, you know, which is reenacted, you know, the tragedy of Loki, hero of Asgard, in Thor Ragnarok, which is all, again, a deception. And so you get this big farewell, and it is like, oh no, yeah, Loki, tell father, you know, oh yeah, I'll tell what you did. I didn't do it for him, you know. All this. He dies. Jane, Thor seem to be stuck on the middle of nowhere, the Dark World. We know that Malekith is going to Earth. Why is he going to Earth? Why is Earth so important? I don't fucking know. Something to do with this alignment of the 9 realms. That's the central thing. Through that, you'll gain access to all the 9 realms and send the ether out and destroy everything. I think. I don't know. But he's going to Earth anyway. And London specifically. Greenwich even more specifically. The old Royal Naval Maritime College, even more specifically, that's where they're going. And but those portals keep opening up, and even though they're in this cave and you think, oh, it's all over, we're stuck here. Heimdall can't see us. Oh god, we're stuck. Jane's mobile phone goes off, and Thor's like, it isn't me. She can hear her. When we first met her in London, the Irish comedian whose name I've forgotten, they're in the Shard about to eat. Darcy interrupts that. Well, there's something happening in the warehouses. You better come now. And it was a date. It was a first date. But it's him phoning her. It's like, but my phone. Remember they were dropping things through in that warehouse, and they were. Some would come through, but some wouldn't. Some would reappear, but some wouldn't, because they'd gone into a different realm. They're there. So using that, somehow or other, they get zapped again because the portals open and they walk through into the docklands. So, and they drive a little car. Now, in the meantime, you've had Stellan Skarsgård as Professor, can't remember his name, who had Loki in his brain in the first Avengers movie. Loki was in there. And I have a god in my brain, you know. Shades of Bones McCoy in Star Trek The Voyage Home, who's got like Spock's been in there as well and meddled about. You know, what's worse than a god in your brain? A Vulcan, obviously. And so they're there back in London, and whatever the professor, what's Skarsgård, whoever he is, he's been running around Stonehenge in the buff because he's gone crazy. But they're all. Quantum physics plays a huge sort of part in this, for the sake of the story. If we can align the portals, we can do this. And we've got these as an intern, and then there's the intern's intern as well. So Darcy's there with their young fella, who they'll fall in love as well. And they've got these electro gadgets which they get back from the police station when they get Professor Skarsgård out of there. All the equipment's given back, and using this and some other equipment, they can realign the portals, and they can use them as sort of directional portal weapon. So, the big battle of Greenwich takes place. Right. In a great shot, you've got Malekith's fantastically weird ship, very vertical. Forget the actual building, the Shard, which you'll see again. This thing is a Shard from the Dark Elf realm. And it comes cutting through the Thames, cuts up straight in the gardens of the Maritime College, straight like that. And then the elves will pour out, battle royale. Thor gets there, hammer getting flung, him and Malekith armed with the ether. Powers, but Mjolnir's got powers, Thor's got powers. It's a battle royale. Jane Foster and the Professor and Darcy and Airfella planting these things, and Jane's using this thing, and they're opening up portals all over the show. So Thor and Malekith are fighting in Greenwich, then they're on Vanaheim, then on what's the Frost Giants planet? Needlestorm, Nephilim. Oh god, I don't know what it is. frosty, I know that. It's cold there. Ooh, dear. They end up there with some frost beast fighting them as well, and they'll get sucked. They're falling off things, and then they're landing back in Greenwich. Then they land on another planet. Then they land on the roof of the Shard as everyone's eating their lunch, and these two are battling all the way down the side of it. It's great, and Mjolnir is trying to find. Mjolnir is following all the way through all this. It's actually a really good, well choreographed, well edited battle sequence. Although, what I will say is, and this is something that played the likes of Doctor Who as well, from the big reboot with Christopher Eccleston onwards. When you see these characters like Daleks, Cybermen, monsters on the streets of London in normal daylight, they look fucking ridiculous. When you first saw Thor arriving back on Earth during the rainstorm to plant the lips on Jane Foster, and he turned on, he see him, and he's all that armour glistening there, and his red cape, holding the hammer, looks ridiculous. Looks fucking ridiculous. Because it's so anachronistic to the setting, it just looks daft. So when these dark elves are chasing our scientific heroes, and they're running around in their suits and their masks, they're just Doctor Who cronies, and they look stupid. Gotta be honest, they look ridiculous. But again, using these temporal sort of portals, they're able to pick up cars and smash them on these elves and stuff. And the elves are getting blown back into different portals and scattered across the cosmos. So it's an interesting sort of concept. Wildly implausible and totally stupid, but very enjoyable at the same time. So, you know what's going to happen. They're going to win the day. It'll be a final moment of Malekith. You can't defeat me. The strength, the power in me now, it can destroy the universe. And he's in this sort of swirling vortex of the ether. The ether seems to be reproducing itself, and he's in this tempest. It's just swirling him around him, and he's like, oh, like that. But using Mjolnir, he blasts him in the back. And he smashes into not in the back. That'd be a cowardly way. He does shout him, Malekith, and he turns around, and the two of them face off. Mjolnir blasts him into his own ship, like that. And at that same time, right, Jane, now, the little portal operating thing, as if, and they send his ship through, lands on the Dark World, and he's like, and the ship collapses upon him. The end, and they shut down all the portals. The convergence is over. The chance of him actually gaining power over all the 9 realms is gone. Sorry, it's gone. So they've saved the world again. Well, not just our world. They've saved all the worlds, all the realms, and everyone's happy. So the Dark World ends on a happy note. You've got a mid-credit sequence, you've got an end-credit sequence, you've got the Tesseract or bits of the Tesseract being given to the Collector via some of the Guardians, and you've got something else at the very end of it. Oh yeah, I know what it is. It's the that Frost Beast which they brought through. It's still on the rampage in London. Oops a daisy. But, right, so Thor 2, Thor The Dark World, actually is great, good fun. The action is great. The humour is ramped up. The drama between Loki and Thor is ramped up. Oh, I should say, Thor goes back to Asgard and he says to Odin, you know, well, Loki's gone now. Well, you've done well, my boy. Now, what is it you want now? Another realm, another kingdom. You know, you've saved Asgard. And he's like, I want to be with Jane and all this thing. You love this mortal? I do. Then go, boy. And may your gods go with you. Or whatever he says. And Thor walks off. But then we cut back to Odin. No surprises. And the glamour goes up. And it's Loki. It's Loki's posing as Odin. As we will find out in Thor Ragnarok, all of this stuff and how it all transpired. Oh, it's great stuff. So, do I rate Thor The Dark World? Yes, I do. It's funny how I loved Thor, the first movie, Kenneth Branagh's movie, but I find it hard, as much as I want to go back and watch it, you haven't got so much of the action in it. Yes, he fights the Destroyer. He has a big fight with Loki at the end of it. You know, he fights a few shield guards and all that, but and he can't pick up Mjolnir, which is a great sequence, and we get introduced to Hawkeye in that sequence as well. But you know, it is good. The drama's there, and there are some good comedy moments. You've got him in a dusty Hicktown diner. That's nice. Bring me another. He goes into the vets or the pet shop or something like I need a horse. We haven't got any horses. Well, what have you got then? We've got cats and dogs. Find me one big enough to ride. You've got those elements in there, which will become, those are the seedbeds of what you've now got as Thor, as this great OTT, beefcake, brawny buffoon. They've really ramped all that up, and it works spectacularly well. In Thor Dark World, you're getting more of that. I am just tapping them, you know, nothing's happening, and all this. You've got all that. You've got mopey Thor as well. You've also got, in the opening battle with Thor and the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif, on Vanaheim, I think. I've got to get one of these realms right at some point. The Lord of Averages dictates I'm going to get one of them right. And they're battling there with these guys. And Thor arrives and, you know, he blasts loads with Mjolnir. Loads of Mjolnir flying off and then stopping right in front of our very eyes. And then whoop! Great sound effect as well. That metallic whoop as he flies back and around space to be caught by Thor. It's magnificent. Suddenly the fighting stops and you hear boom, 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 as a Cronin strides up with a big war club and like just laughs, a big stony laugh, at Thor, and Thor just goes, hello. Yes, I accept your surrender. And all these marauders going with the Mjolnir. Bang! A big uppercut, big cascade of rocks. Whoosh, down he falls, big rubble everywhere, wiped out. Don't let anyone tell you that that's Korg, voiced by Taika Waititi from Thor Ragnarok, and it's going to be is in Thor Love and Thunder. He's the same race, these stone men, the Cronin. But people are going like, oh, well, don't forget, Korg was actually in Dark World. Well, if that's the case, then he fucking killed him in Dark World, so he can't be the same character, can it? You know what I mean? And plus, Korg's only, then again, maybe he rebuilt himself, Iron Giant style, but some bits were missing, so that's why he's smaller than this big, massive one. No. He's just one of the same race. But it's a great scene, and that other warrior, the blonde hair, the Errol Flynn type one, he says, next time, let's start with the big one. It got these great little moments, these little flurries of character beats, which I love. And I love the Warriors 3. Now, one thing I did not like about Thor Ragnarok, and it's the only thing I didn't like about it, is how quickly, the nanoseconds that they were all taken out when Hela, Kate Blanchett, comes back to Asgard. And just spikes them all straight away. And I just thought that was just deplorable, because I love Ray Stevenson as Volstagg. I think he's wonderful. Let's hope there's a way of bringing these people back. I wouldn't be surprised if there was, because everyone can come back, can't they? And there is sort of, if you read the books, Malekith comes back again, somehow or other. He's in a pit full of spiders, and he will come back to try to wreak revenge upon Asgard and the other 9 realms, you know. These guys never learn, do they? Oh God, I still want revenge. I live only for vengeance, you know. But you're going to get your ass kicked again. And that is a downside of this movie, that Malekith is such a one-note bad guy. And he gets his ass whooped by Frigga, and then pretty much everybody else kicks his ass as well. But, you know, it's not relevant, is it, really? That's why you always got to have a big henchman. Like Algrim is wonderful. Like, let's be honest, Inspire Love Me. You know, Stromberg's absolutely nothing without Jaws. Hugo Drax in Moonraker is nothing without Jaws. And then Jaws turned out to be a good guy. So, you know, go figure. These henchmen, they ain't what they used to be. But Algrim's great, and he's a good, solid, monstrous presence as well, which I think is great. So, I love it. Folks, Thor Dark World's great. And if you're anything like me and you're really getting hyped for Thor Love and Thunder, which I massively, massively am, I've got a few little projects lined up. I'm going to make Thor's sleeveless biker jacket. I'm going to make it. I'm not going to buy the fucking thing, because the fucking thing right now, which you can buy, doesn't look like it is in the movie. No, because they've gone ahead without the full license and they've made their own customized versions, which, now I come to think of it, is exactly what I'm going to be doing. But for a fraction of the cost. But we'll see how it turns out anyway. But I love Thor. I love Taika Waititi, who's now being courted by the Star Wars brigade. Come and do a one-off with us. And that could work. Taika Waititi's unique vision and his comedic slant on everything, his weird, wacky weirdness, would be great in a Star Wars universe standalone movie. It just brings something new to the palette, and I think that would be a wise decision. So, but anything Waititi does, what we do in the shadows is beyond excellent. Ragnarok is awesome. Waititi says that this will have the same amount of comedy, but it's also got a few dramatic turns in it as well. I know what I was going to say. Jane Foster in Love and Thunder and in the comics, when she becomes the mighty Thor herself and is able to wield Mjolnir, much to our boy's chagrin, she's dying of cancer back on Midgard, back on Earth. And the more that she's Thor, the longer she survives. But when she goes back to Earth, she's dying again. Where did she get the cancer from? Now, I can't remember in the books. I know, someone out there does know, but I can't remember. I just remember just having it, and that was the shocker. But the ether was in her for so long. It's been drawn out of her, but has that caused the cancer? And that'd be a great way of linking Jane Foster, because we haven't seen Jane Foster in any of the Marvel movies since Dark World. So, and then her next appearance is as the mighty Thor. You know what I mean? Is it the ether that's done it? Has that given her the power to wield, or the strength and the power? It's her worthiness that allows her to wield Mjolnir. But has that also given her cancer as well? I think that'd be an interesting way of connecting the dots between these movies, and I'd be surprised if they didn't do it that way, to be honest. So there's a nice one for you. The ether gave her cancer. Yeah, that's a nice thought, isn't it? Nice one, Kilt-Man. Yeah, cheers for that. But I'm looking forward to anything, any more Thor, any Thor I'm happy with. And going back and watching this, as I said before, I might not be able to take as much enjoyment from watching the original Thor, although I think it's a better film. It's a better told story under Branagh's direction. And we know that Thor Dark World has been much manipulated and rechanged, rejigged, new scenes added in, other bits taken out, the thrust of one narrative removed to go down a different road. And it's not Alan Taylor's vision at all. But watching it, you might know that, but it still works perfectly well. How did the Bifrost get fixed? I just don't understand that. I don't get that. So anyway, there you go. That was I would say a whistle stop, but it's almost an hour. And the film isn't too long either. And that's another great thing about Ragnarok and Love and Thunder. Love and Thunder is reputed to be only 150 minutes long. So you're not talking a big 3-hour plus movie here. You're talking a sub 2-hour movie. And that's with 10 minutes of credits as well. Bring it on. Bring it on, I say. I love long movies if the story warrants it. I love to sit back and savour these movies. But if they're that long, I want to watch them at home. I'm too old to be sitting in the cinema and wasting what little life I have left in this realm. Just sitting in a darkened room with other people rustling crisps and talking into their mobile phones. No, I don't want to do that. A short, sharp, 90-minute, maybe just over, action movie. I'm happy with that. That's great. I'll have a hot dog. Popcorn's for fucking kids. I'll have a hot dog and a whiskey in my local cinema. Brilliant. I can do that. I can even have 2 in that time. 3-hour plus. I'd be pissed as a fart the amount of whiskey I'm going to throw down my neck just to endure that. No, I'm not doing it. So I'm made up with that. Day 1, I'll be there for Love and Thunder in costume. I hope. But in the meantime, listen to this. Brian Tyler's score is so good, so good. The action's great. The heroic main theme, the fanfare is fantastic. It's the best in the Marvel cycle, it is. And this lovely, tragic theme is gorgeous. Isn't it? Come on now. You know, one day I will have the power to just go like that and whiskey will go whoop into my hand. I'll just go like that, and whiskey just pours straight into me god, like the ether. Right, an hour's up. Folks, have been always shall be Kilt-Man. Massively smitten with Norse gods, and one in particular. So please, keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. And just be happy you all. Look at whatever realm you're in. Look after it. Them pesky dark elves are always trying to meddle with it. And if it isn't dark elves, it's celestial bloody warrior gods, big purple bastards called Thanos. There's always somebody out there. Gore the God Butcher's coming next. You don't get any peace, do you? Anyway, I'm gonna see you all. Yes. The last Asgardian breath. The last blood of Asgard.